Horses cold brew. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold brew. Just let me be blunt. My speech in the morning, nothing but grunts. With no coffee, that's as dangerous. On a scale from 1 to 10, I rank it that girl from Stranger Things. And if you get what I'm saying, my attitude be mad flagrant like I'm Draymond. But you ain't get the picture, PFP. So I'm gonna keep pushing on you, GNC. It's like, yeah, the first thing on my mind is when that hot coffee gonna seep into the coffee grind. It's like some magic's floating all in the air. Toss some ice cubes in my cup, it's a good day. All I gotta say is that it's starting in a good way. It's time for work and then I don't even care. Just wake me up. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold brew. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold brew. Always start fresh, that's how it's gotta be. Everything starts back with your coffee beans. If it's cold brew, then it's gotta be coarse. Don't get the cart ahead of the horse, start learning the course. But of course you can disregard. And don't at me if it gets too hard. When it's my time to drink, man, it's always on hand. Drink from a cup or a bottle, even a can. You never know when you're craving no hit. It could be in the bathroom while you're taking a with flair, I'll say he ain't got nothing on it. When that coffee hits my lips, it's a seance. Feeling real super with the cape on. Anything I'll take on. This cup of coffee, yeah, boy, this is the shit. Just wake me up, just wake me up. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold brew. Just wake me up, just wake me up, don't let me down. Give me coffee. Just wake me up, just wake me up, just wake me up. Horses cold brew. Third verse, so I guess that's where I talk about how we might be addicted in a roundabout kind of way, or how you say, a dependency that's in my life, and I'm proud to say it's filling me with way more energy than I'll ever need, keeping me up for things I thought I'd never see. Time's gonna kill us all one day, whether old age, illness, or from listening to Coldplay. F that noise, wubba love love. Drink all the coffee, chug a lug lug. The day doesn't start till you're on your second cup. If they talk before then, homies better duck.
Good morning, all of you beautiful nerds from around the world, and welcome to the morning stream here on the Den of Nerds Live, the very best way to start your nerdy day. On today's show, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. The Snyder Cut is real. The Snyder Cut is coming. And I want to talk about the business side of the Snyder Cut. This is a really crazy move. Maybe crazier than you even know. The impact of this decision will be felt by the entire movie and comic book industry. I promise you. This is huge for a couple of different reasons. Adam from Fanjextra is going to join the show. We're going to talk about the business side of this, talk about what it means for the nerds, what it means for Warner Brothers, what does it mean for Zack Snyder, what does it mean? It's going to be a good conversation, guys. Welcome to the show. Let's say good morning to everybody that's in here. Sam Shills, Star Wars Santa, Wayne White, Eric's in here. Cater's in here. Mike Porter, Jason, Will Morgan. Is it Friday yet? Not quite, my friend. Danny, Yinzer Jim, XR, Eric, Knight, Gray's here, Stormbreaker's here, Brian's here, the Spider-Man Show's here, Ryan, Coachella Coastal, Trinity's in the building, Burke, 24 Cameraman, Brian O'Connor, Marvel, Maniac, Crichton, Chris, Stories by Irish, Social Distance Warrior, Jacob's Quest. I can't do anymore. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Whew. Tell you what. I'm pretty excited to talk Snyder Cut. I'm pretty excited, baby. I am pretty excited. But a couple of things that we got to get to. Chet, pause the music. I'm a little disappointed in you guys. I'm a little disappointed in the Den. And I need to explain why. Here we go. You don't know the power of an internet rant. So yesterday, we covered the release of the Snyder Cut. Real quick, before we get too angry, and maybe this will take the edge off, let me just take a sip of my delicious, hot, organic Taylor Lane coffee, the official coffee of the Den of Nerds Live. Go to TaylorLane.com and use the code NERDS10 at checkout for 10% off, and so that they know we sent you. Good God, that's good coffee. Okay, now listen. We did the video yesterday. Guys, I knew the Snyder Cut was coming. I knew Zack was going to announce it. I mean, I didn't know. And so we do this video. I'm very excited. We were fast, man. We were fast. And the views were decent. But I'm like, what's going on with these views? These views should be much better, right? At least I thought. No, it'll probably pick up. It'll find traction as it goes on. It was like midnight last night. Long day for your boy. Long day. Just lying in bed. And I get a comment from someone on that video. And the comment says, "You misspelled Snyder twice in your title." I'm like, there's no way that's true. The Den of Nerds subscribers would have let me know. The Den of Nerds family knows that Josh, he's good at a couple things. Spelling, not one of them. Spelling, not one of them. Guys, for like 8 hours yesterday, the title of our video said, Zack Snyder releases the Snyder Cut on HBO Max. Can we do just a little bit better next time? All of us. Look, ultimately it's on me, right? And Chet, of course. Ultimately it's on me. I'm the one that can't spell. But can you do me just a little favor? Can we keep just a little bit of a better look? Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just look a little bit closer. That's it. That's all I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say. Isn't that goddamn hilarious? And it's one of those things too where it was so close. We just had the N and the Y. And this is how like I'm really bad at spelling. I am consistent with the way I can't spell. So if I spell something wrong, if I hand you a 3,000 word document and I spelled a word incorrectly, it's because in my brain I thought that was the correct way to spell it. You will find thousands of examples of it spelled that weird way. So, yeah, no, look, in all seriousness, I'm joking, right? It's not on you guys. It's not spell Chet. I love that. Put your spell Chet on. It's not on you guys. I'm just kidding around. But in all honesty, if you could keep just a little bit of a look at that, just a gander, and you see that is going on. Help your boy out. We probably lost a couple thousand views because of that. You know what I mean? Like, geez. Oh, man. Yeah. Dude, this Rona hair is going. This is bad. Dude, guys, I'm not even showing you guys how bad it is. Maybe I will. Maybe tomorrow I'll, like bring it all the way out for you. I literally thought about at the end of this is how crazy it's gonna get. And don't worry, we're about to talk about the Snyder Cut. Hold on to your horses. We're about to start the Snyder Cut. I'm about to bring Adam in here. We're gonna get into the juiciness, but real quick, I have a photograph of my dad from the 70s with a big old perm, like a big old perm. Like, and as my hair gets longer, I think about that. I'm like, what would you guys think if I went full on 70s and got a perm and had a perm that was like fat? You know what I mean? Let me know in the chat. Is this something we're going to support, or is this like, no? No, I've got plenty of hats. I do have plenty of hats, Santa, but I just like this one a lot. And it's actually not even just because it is a Andrew Yang hat. Hashtag Yang Gang. I am a big supporter. But actually, I just love the idea of having math written on a hat. I think it's dope. If you're going to support something, I'll tell you this. Your boy's way better at math than he is at spelling. That's for damn sure. I'll pitch in money to see Josh's perm. Trev says, do it. Grace Panda said, I'd stop watching. No! Jennifer Cook says, oh God, no. Gray says, yes, please do it. Please do it. I would really like to see you with a perm. Yeah. All right. Pause the music. It's time to bring in good friend of the channel, Adam from Fanjector. Adam, what's going on, my friend?
Good morning. Can I put in money for you to shave your head instead of getting a perm?
I know that's a thing. You know what's so funny? I get. Santa just dropped a little super chat in there. Let me see here. Rona Hair Barber Fund. Oh well, thank you for that. Oh, man,
I'll do it for free.
Am I getting a little echo?
You don't need money.
Am I hearing I might be hearing my voice on your end a little.
Of course you are, because we always have audio issues, because it wouldn't be Thursday.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Thursday without a little bit of audio issues. Let me see here. I can actually.
Before we never did.
Yeah, I know, right? I think I got it figured out. Hang on.
Okay. Echo.
So that'll probably be better. Maybe.
Test 1 2 1 2.
Test. No, I'm definitely hearing my audio coming through on your end. And let me see something. If I mute it,
Test.
Is it not coming? Okay, so it's not coming through now that I mute. So it has to be
crazy morning.
Like your input is your input of me is getting caught in there or something.
I thought we did not want an echo chamber.
Yeah.
What kind of community is this? Bringing in the echo chamber.
Dude, I don't know.
Put some earphones on. What do you think these are, Trev? I don't grow plastic out of my face.
Are they on? Are they working?
Yeah, of course they're on. I literally stopped my show and went back in to your show. Here, I'm gonna jump out. I'll come back in.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's see. Of course, it's. Ugh, we always have these kind of issues. I apologize, guys. We'll get it sorted out. It couldn't be. There's no way I should be getting it. Unfortunately, I do think it's something on StreamYard with Adam, because I don't think. Yeah, there's no way I would have. I don't know. Try it in just a second here. Yeah, because there's nothing coming through right now, and my audio is running in.
Cool.
How about now?
I don't know.
Hey, I think it's better.
Hey. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, cool. We're back. Okay, yeah. So, no. When it comes to the hair thing, I don't know. I still get people that come into the channel and will be like, "You never shaved your head from Rise of Skywalker spoilers," and I'm like, "Dude, you guys don't understand." Like, yeah. Anyway, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Look, bald is beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
You can join the bald army.
Dude, when I was a kid or when I was in high school, I would do crew cut a lot. That's all my dad does. I mean, I have that picture of him with the perm.
Yeah.
But that's all he does now is crew cut. And he's a martial artist, so like he's He's like,
Okay.
he's kind of like psychotic with it too, where he's like, any advantage I can take in combat, I
You're
will.
right.
Which, believe it or not, that is why, because before the Romans, most men actually had long hair. We loved our long locks.
Yeah.
But it was the
Long.
Romans that said no, that's bad for combat. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Interesting.
let's talk business, my friend. What's your raw take on the Snyder cut? What did you think yesterday? Were you pretty blown away?
Yeah, I did. Look, I don't know what the popular opinion is. I've seen so many different opinions on this, but I, for one, am very excited. I am on the record for loving Man of Steel. I think there are way more positives than negatives of Batman versus Superman. I'm not ignorant to the fact that I know that they're not perfect movies, and I would be sticking my head in the sand if I pretended that they were perfect movies. But that doesn't mean I still don't enjoy them. You know, to me, I don't. The movies don't have to be perfect for me to enjoy them or like them. So overall, I really like Man of Steel. I liked Batman vs Superman. I really disliked Justice League because to me it just had Joss Whedon's fingerprints all over it, and I'm not a big Joss Whedon guy. So I for one am very excited that this is finally happening. I'm not a Snyder bro. I never used the hashtag. I'm just a film fan that didn't like a movie and want to see a better, a better version from the original director. So that's where I'm at, and I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, and so I'm kind of in the same boat. I wouldn't consider myself a Snyder Cut bro. I never really used the hashtag. I think I used the hashtag like 3 times since it was a thing. Like there was a Monday late last year, and I know you watched Grace's breakdown of it. I'm assuming you did, right?
Yeah.
Dude, it was great breakdown, and good for her, man. And she was like the cat that ate the canary, but she sort of deserves it, I think, with this one. But there was that day late last year where all of the stars were really pushing for it. And do you remember this? Even like Simu Lee and shit was like posting about it.
Literally everyone except for Cavill. Yeah.
Everyone except for Cavill. Yep. And which we'll get to. I think I tweeted it out that day. I think I said something to the effect of like, I'm making an executive decision on this one. We're pro release the Snyder Cut, and like just being funny, the whole internet thing or whatever. But I gotta be honest, like I never actually thought that it would come out. And I know there's like a lot of people that were very adamant that it existed, that it was real, that it should come out, and all these different things. I was not really in that camp. I knew that what we saw from Joss was not Zack's vision. I knew that. I also strongly believe and have heard from people, even though I cannot confirm this, that the situation with him and his daughter and that whole thing with Joss Whedon, there was a lot of shit that happened behind the scenes that was not reported about and was not the official story. So, speculation there. But I had always believed that was bullshit. You know what I mean? That Warner Brothers was that was Warner Brothers. That was not Zack, So that had led me to believe that, yeah, that was definitely not Zack's vision, and there was something different out there. But it wasn't until Snyder started really teasing, man. He's been teasing. He's been, doing his stuff on Vero and his social media and like dropping these little things. And there were even people like, John Campea, who had actually gotten upset about this. I don't know if you know this. John got upset.
Oh, I know.
And he was like, yeah, Snyder, you got to stop.
Yep, I remember that.
And interestingly, he has to eat a bunch of crow. We'll see how much crow he actually eats, but he's got to eat a bunch of crow today because not only did he not have to stop, him and those actions and his support that he had from his base made something kind of ridiculous happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't hold your breath on him eating crow, but that's
yeah, you're probably right there.
There's different opinions. But yeah, no, I agree with you with the whole Zack Snyder leaving situation. It always seemed fishy to me because if you are fully behind your director or your artist or whatever, the person running this major franchise, something like a death in the family it should never be a reason to get somebody off of a project.
Right.
And especially because the one of the BS excuses was that he was going to leave because he wanted to concentrate on family, which was fine. I'm sure he did, but that he wanted to step away from filmmaking, which wasn't true.
Right.
He like continued to make other projects.
Right. Exactly.
So it was always fishy to me. And it was always just sort of seemed like the excuse they used publicly to like go separate ways. And I kind of, partly disgusted me a little bit, but I agree with you. It's definitely fishy.
Yeah, it's tough because it's something that like I don't necessarily want to, I always try to navigate the waters, peacefully, and I'll talk about the drama, but I don't want to necessarily feed into the drama, right? But I will say this: if that studio really did try to utilize a family tragedy as a smokescreen for studio interference, that's literally one of the most heinous, horrible things I've ever heard of when it comes to Hollywood. So without, condemning completely or condoning, and with full acknowledgement that we don't know what happened, I just want to put that out there. That does not sit well with me. You know what I mean?
Totally. And I think most of the execs that were even a part of that aren't necessarily with Warner's anymore anyway, or have very little power anymore. So I think it's kind of, I'm with you. I think it was behind the scenes. I gotta imagine it wasn't looked at very well. So that's a lot of sweeping house went over there.
Yeah, agreed. So let's get into the business side of this. So baseline thoughts here. Do you think this is good business? Do you think this is bad business? Who's this good for? Who's this bad for? Give me your baseline thoughts on that.
This literally is bad for nobody. I was thinking about it, like, who could it be bad for? If you aren't a fan of the BVS stuff, then you don't have to watch it, right? You literally do not have to waste your time, waste your energy, hit play. You don't have to do any of that. So if you don't like it, it's not bad for you. This isn't for you, which is fine. You don't have to like it. You don't have to watch it. Okay. It's also great for HBO Max. Okay. So I was talking about this morning. For anyone that knows about business, and I'm sure a lot of people here in the den do, there is a thing called customer acquisition, which is the amount of money you pay on a per customer basis to acquire that customer. Mm-hmm. If you can get anywhere from like $4 and less for a customer, especially on something like this, on this grand a scale, that's really good. And even if you put the max of 30 million out there, which is by reports, it's somewhere between 20 and $30 million. $30 million. If you can nab 10 million people to sign up, which I think is actually, relatively low, because I think Star Wars, I think The Mandalorian was able to pull in about 25 million people for it. So let's cut that in half and cut it even more, because the DCEU stuff is not as close to Star Wars. So even if you get 10 million people to sign up, that's about $3 a person that you're paying for customer acquisition. So that's great. So HBO, it's great for them. This is great for Zack. He finally gets to do the thing that he wants to do. Here's the only downside, and what worries me a little bit, is now the power, the unlimited power that fandoms have, that if they don't like something, what are the lengths that you're going to do to get it to change? Like we saw this with Sonic. Sonic was like the first foot in the door of fandoms going in and voicing their opinion and changing things. This is the next much larger scale. So look, I'm not saying it's a bad thing that fans voice their opinions and have change, as long as you put your money where your mouth is. I think they did for Sonic, and I think people will for this. So that I think is the big X factor here, the power of fandoms.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We actually did a community stream about this a couple months ago, where we were like, our fandom's getting too powerful. You know what I mean? Like, where's that balance? And I think that it is a double-edged sword. It can certainly cut both ways. I'll say this, though. I would much prefer the power to be more in the hands of fans than critics, And I think that there's a lot... Dude, like, when I look at what's going on right now in multiple industries, there's a really, like, a democratization of these industries. The gatekeepers are falling away, and just the advent of, like, the internet and digital age in general has sort of created... new media, new media in a way that threatens the old media, which is good because like a lot of that stuff's stupid, formulaic, draconian, whatever you want to talk, whatever phrase you have for it. But I will say this to your first point: there is some people that this is bad for. Mostly, your boy Joss Whedon. I think that number one, it's this is depending on how this comes out, Joss will look bad. I don't think it's his fault necessarily. I think Kevin Tsuchihara and some of those other people that were at Warner Brothers are the ones that should really, 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 really get the blame. I also think this is potentially bad for J.J. Abrams and for what he looks to do with HBO Max and what he wants to do. I also think this could potentially be bad for Henry Cavill, which is probably why he was there and which is probably why they're trying to do that PR. I'm fascinated. I'm absolutely fascinated by the implications of him being there, what that could possibly mean, all sorts of crazy implications. But those are potentially some of the people that I think this is actually bad news for. Now, we don't have to talk about your buddy Joss, but what do you think about the J.J. Abrams thing? Because if you see where my head is at, essentially, if Abrams is developing stuff for Warner Brothers, and he wants to do his J.J. Abrams brand of things. And even though what's fascinating is even though he's doing Justice League Dark, we can assume that there's going to be a nice sort of J.J. Abrams lens flare, happy-go-lucky paint job on all of that. If the Snyder Cut comes out and is received very well, does that not cause possibly a divide and a potential problem for J.J.? What do you think?
I mean, if it's good and popular and well received, that could cause a rift in any DC project. To be honest, it may not stop with the JJ stuff. It could extend out to the movies. I mean, look, the truth is, I'm not going to say the truth is, but I have a strong feeling that part of the reshoot stuff is they're going to bring Ben Affleck back and redo some of his stuff. I think that he was going through a hell of a time in his personal life, and then throw in the mix with everything going on with the project itself. I think, and he's always been a big supporter of release the Snyder Cut. Yeah. So I think they're going to come in. I'm not saying they're going to reshoot everything he did, but I think they're going to redo some of his stuff. And then we're going to see new material from Ben Affleck. And then that could be a rift too. I mean, we didn't throw in the, it could be bad for Pattinson too. I mean, I know he's your boy as much as Joss Whedon's my boy. So J.J. Abrams, that's an interesting angle to think about. I think JJ has his own issues. I don't necessarily know that this is going to be the thing that holds him back. I think he's got to get out of his own way and his own stink from Star Wars to Justice League Dark is different enough from this stuff that I think it can be ideally separated. I just think it might cause a world of trouble for any DC product, let alone JJ, because of at this point fans might be like, give it back to him. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Now on the business side of it, and like, okay, so I've sort of kind of kept my fanboyish freak out at bay just because I wanted to talk about possible negatives first. But I think this is literally like one of the most brilliant decisions that I've seen a company make in probably, since the Rogan thing with Spotify, which I also think is a brilliant move. But there's this thing called earned media, right? I've talked about this before, and earned media is something that companies really, really think about and factor in, right? And so the benefit of getting this out there and the amount of earned media that will be done yesterday, today, throughout next week, maybe throughout the rest of this year, if Zack continues to tease things with his base, the amount of earned media is they probably have literally made money, even if they gave Zack $30 million, which I hope he's getting some actual money. I hope it's not all development. I hope he's getting some money too to come back and do this. I think he would have to because of guild rules. But essentially, they, it's just this crazy thing because you think like, oh, $20 million, $30 million. Well, they could make a whole nother show or a whole nother thing with that. Yeah, but are those shows going to earn them the amount of media exposure that doing something like the Snyder Cut has earned them? I say not even close. It's not even close. So they've probably literally already made money from yesterday. On top of that, I tried to get info. I had a meeting like right before this, so I was really crunched. But I was trying to look at the stock price, okay? And I don't know exactly how this is working and how this is going to go. But I will say this: the day that Spotify signed Rogan, okay, so they have a deal with Joe Rogan that's something like $100 million, maybe more, right? Their stock price in the next 48 hours went up 5%. The total on that is something like $5 billion. Okay? So you're talking about a company that made $5 billion in 48 hours by spending $100 million to get an asset. And so there's like this side of it on the business side that is incredibly brilliant. And honestly, if you're AT&T, like I was really curious because there's been so much talk about since AT&T bought them. There's been this whole rumor of like, well, they're going to shut down DC Comics. You know what I mean? Like all these different things. And the whole idea is AT&T doesn't mess around. They're going to come in. They're going to view assets. They're going to view liability. They're going to take a look at this thing, and they're going to make some pretty harsh decisions. Big rumor is that it was AT&T that essentially pushed this over the edge and signed on the dotted line. And I'm starting to believe that that's 100% true because, as Grace talked about in her video, one of the reasons that it's possible that Warner themselves was so reluctant to go down this road is because of all the skeletons in the closet with the original, cover up, and because of all the drama that happened with that. And so, like, for me, man, just a brilliant move and a really nice sort of branding signal to the Warner Brothers fans and to the DC fans, and just a brilliant idea by AT&T. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that and the earned media aspect.
Yeah, earned media is exactly what this is. You can't get any better marketing for your brand new service. I mean, think about it. You are hurting immensely for material for your streaming services. I mean, their biggest thing that they were doing, that their biggest draw was going to be the Friends live reunion, and that went to hell because of all the thing that should not be named. So
Right.
they needed something else huge. This is their Star Wars. This is their Mandalorian, and they're going to get millions and millions of people to sign up for this.
Yeah,
it's that's what's going to happen. This thing is going to skyrocket because of this, and 100%. Now, I was trying to look up the stock, and I couldn't necessarily get it in time, so I apologize for that. But yeah. You're right. Just like the Joe Rogan thing, man, $100 million. That's another conversation for another day. But that's crazy. Yeah, that jumped up. I remember back in the day when Sirius signed Howard Stern.
Same thing. Yep.
That jumped up. And yeah, having this and the thing about the Snyder Cut thing is it's always been everyone knows about it. Like no one in the industry doesn't know about the whole Snyder Cut thing. So everyone is expecting a huge bump up from this, and even though I didn't get the numbers, I gotta imagine that the stock did bump up. And
yeah,
this is the best, cheapest marketing they could have done. Honestly,
yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, it's a move to me that really signals big changes for the industry. And the honest to God truth is, man, Hollywood, they've got to be very careful how they navigate the next couple of years. I think some of the, because I always see brand, like that's just how I view things, right? So my thing is, I think Hollywood over the last couple of years, the studios have gotten a lot of bad PR and a lot of this whole like elitist, out of touch, being, almost anti-fan in some ways, right? They have suffered from this idea and this narrative that really has sort of always been around. But I think, again, in the age of digital media, and when there's, you know, people able to make like YouTube videos and people able to just do all of this different stuff, on top of that, unfortunately, unfortunately or fortunately, I do agree with some people that have said that the Voldemort virus, the thing that shall not be named, that actually did even more damage to the idea of celebrity. And I think that sort of the idea of celebrity and the idea of the Hollywood elite and these sort of things, these people got to be careful, man. They got to be careful. That is going away real fast. And I think that, you know, I've often talked about like the thank you economy and how like, things are just kind of different now, and you have to think differently about your ROI and stuff like that. I'm not saying AT&T completely agrees with me or understands like where my head is at with that, but this move falls right in a line with that. Like they're going to have, like Zach has some of the most loyal fans, that base, and his relationship with them is rare. And for them to sort of, dude, I'm sorry, for a big corporation like that, $20 million is a cheap price to be getting some of his good juju to flake over on you. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's got a fan base like Nolan does. I'm not comparing them. But you know, there are certain filmmakers and certain directors that, you know, they have their fan base and they will follow them and support them no matter what they do. But so, yeah, just to touch upon what you were saying about the landscape being different, I didn't get to touch on it this morning, and hopefully tomorrow morning I will. But there's a report of a study that came out just recently that 70% of people now would prefer watching new releases in their home rather than going to the movie theater.
Yeah.
And I think that's telling. And I'm not saying that like when movie theaters fully reopen that's going to stay at 70%, but I got to imagine that there's still going to be a large percent of people that now have this experience of renting these, you know, new release movies at home. They like that experience because they're in their homes, and it's just going to transfer right over to these streaming services, especially, you know, HBO really paved the way for high quality television, movie quality to be in your homes, right? They're the pioneer of that. And so now that we're getting all these streaming services who know that those are viable assets and are throwing a ton of good money into making good content, it's only going to make movies, the quality, and I'm not talking about like the viewing quality, the actual quality of the film, indistinguishable between what you're watching at home and in the movie theater. The only difference is going to be that theater experience. And is that going to be enough to draw people? So the fact that, you know, HBO and now, you know, Apple TV just nabbed the Tom Hanks Greyhound film, and all these studios and all these streaming services are putting quality into their streaming. Man, it's tough. And I was saying this morning, I don't know, how do you feel about whether it should or should not be, because we don't know if it is, but should or should not be like a long movie or split up into segments? Because for me, I think Zack Snyder's style is perfect for segments, right? 6 episodes or whatever it is. One of the biggest complaints that people have about Zack Snyder is that they feel like his stories have too much and they're overbloated. But when you have television shows like Game of Thrones that have literally the same amount of stuff, when you spread it out into like weekly episodes, it doesn't feel as bloated. So I think if they do something like that, that might actually make it better and make his style, you know, fit a little bit more digestible. I don't know how you feel about that.
Dude, I mean, we're so on the same page with that. And it's so funny because our good friend Trinity is so very much on the other end of this, which, you know, I totally respect, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. But yeah, I mean, like, I guess for me, the landscape is changing before our very eyes. And, you know, so like, obviously, like we talk to a lot of people that are pretty fanatic about this sort of stuff and have perhaps a different perspective because we're like really in it. But when I talk to like my buddies, right? They're telling me, they're like, hey man, I don't think my kids are going to even know what going to the theater is like. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's going to completely go away. And I know that's probably weird for people to think about. And I love the theater experience. I love the theater experience, and I will replicate it. Even if that is the way things go, I'll build a theater. You know what I mean? I'll like Zach had in his house. Like, dude,
I'm so jealous.
I'm so
That
jealous.
was so cool.
Honestly, that stream was fucking awesome yesterday, dude. Like, it was so cool. Like, just watching him talk about stuff, showing the sketches and all that. Because, you know, I'm like into storytelling, and I do sketches like for my comics and stuff like that too. It's just, I was like, what a treat, man. What a treat to be able to have watched that live, to watch him go over everything, to experience that with all these other fans. And then he brings in all the other fans, and they're asking all these questions and stuff. And it's just like, it was great. It was great. But I digress.
You know how I feel about behind the scenes stuff. So
yeah, I know you were on it too. You were loving it, dude. It was so fun. And actually, I was working out when he made the official announcement because I had lost a little hope. I was like, I don't think he's going to do it. So I was like, I'll watch the rest on the bike. And I was on the exercise bike. And then I'm like, let's go, you know.
You start pedaling faster.
Yeah, no, for real. But yeah, obviously the reason these companies are doing this is because they see the long-term projections. They hire people way smarter than me and Adam, or at least way smarter than me. So they hire these people to tell them these things and to make these forecasts and these predictions. To your question about whether it's better as a series or as a film, it's hands down better as a series. It's hands down better as a series. He will get the time to develop. He will get the time to really put this character on display. I think that the Cyborg character, we're going to get this whole new appreciation for Ray Fisher's performance, what he did, what that arc was. I think there'll be interesting stuff with the New Gods. I think there'll be some interesting stuff with like a possible young Darkseid having conversations with some of the old gods like Zeus or Achilles or some of the Greek stuff with Wonder Woman. Like, I feel like that will be explored. I feel like there's so much more room to have that stuff going on. And on the social media aspect, again, they're being very intelligent, spreading it out, having that water cooler talk is the keys to that castle. They will create a bunch of buzz. So not only do I think that you're spot on and like that the digital way is going, that 70% in the next 2 years will probably be 90%. You know what I mean? And look, that is just the way that it is. The dinosaurs, like me and you and Trinity, we'll still go to the movie theaters together, but it'll be hard to find one. You know what I mean? We will have to drive around to find one. In some towns, that's already the case. You know, so. Yeah, that's the way
my town will survive. I actually have 3 AMCs within a 10-minute from me, so I'm confident that at least one will stay open. But we'll see.
Well, you know, it's funny. Like, I miss that. I miss that aspect of Philadelphia. To be honest with you, just a ton of great theaters. Like, just a ton of great theaters in the Philadelphia area. I had a lot of great experiences at a ton of those theaters. But I'm thinking of smaller towns like my hometown, which literally has 2 theaters. Right, one in the city, and then other one you have to drive a half hour down into Meadville, and there's one theater in Meadville. You know what I mean? So it's like for a lot of the country, I would say they've got 1, maybe 2, and those are going to have trouble, I think, staying open. But yeah, I think the streaming and the splitting it up as a series is a brilliant move. Let me ask you this: I saw Peter Scoretto tweet this, and I thought it was a good take. I thought it was interesting. The film was originally supposed to be a 2-parter. You know, the film was supposed to start with Steppenwolf and then go full on Darkseid. So, question is, after these 6 to 8 whatever episodes we get, I think it was 6 35-minute episodes is what Grace said.
Something like that.
Yeah. So after those 6, they're gonna want more. What does HBO and Warner Brothers do in that situation?
It's a great question. We talked about that this morning. I think that if this is good and it's successful, and AT&T they're about the bottom line. So that if this is successful, they're going to want more. It's the nature of it. So maybe Zack Snyder leads the HBO Max verse and they continue down that path, and then the movies can be their own thing. I mean, we already know that DC doesn't really mix their shows and their movies per se. They don't have to. They're not as interconnected as Marvel is. So with the CW stuff, and they they had Swamp Thing before, and even though now it's back on CW. So like they're okay with doing that. So I could see a scenario and a reality where this is successful, and for streaming, if they do a relatively decent budget. So like, remind me again, how much was WandaVision? What was their budget? Was it like,
I think it's like 100 or 115 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was like 150 was like the latest release, and that's so you're looking at, I don't know, 30 mil an episode, about depending on how many episodes come out. So I think it's reasonable that you could probably still continue this for a reasonable budget if you can do it. So I could see a scenario where they continue a storyline if it's successful and just have it be on HBO Max.
I would love that. I would love it. And honestly, that's a direction that I think Warner Brothers should go in, because it's like, look, when we talk about all of their different options, and like it's been talked about to death, but we'll continue to do it because it is the talk of the town. How does Warner Brothers repair that image? How does Warner Brothers move forward? How do they do this, right? There's all this talk about, the Flashpoint movie is going to reset. You know what I mean? The Flashpoint movie is going to reset things.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see if that's still on the table, and maybe, that's a whole nother side of this. Is what are they going to do about Ezra? Are they bringing in Ezra at all for reshoots? What are they going to do with him in that movie and all of that, right?
Well, I think this is going to help rehab his image for sure, because he's not going to be cut out of the movie. So
true.
he's going to be part of the Justice League. So maybe this will help rehab his image.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yep, and that could be the case, and then that sort of helps them out. But yeah, I think if I were Warner Brothers, I would be willing to spend at least that $150 million, if not $200 million, to do another 6 episodes in 2022 of
probably 2023.
Probably 2023.
Yeah.
Because he's working on Army of Darkness right now. But yeah, I'd be willing to spend that money, man. If I was one of these people, I would keep my goddamn mouth shut about all the takes about what this means. Like, I can just see him right now being like, this is cool, this is fun, but Ben Affleck is definitely not coming back. They're definitely not continuing this story and all of that. I'd shut the fuck up.
Well,
about all of that.
I don't want to crap too much, but even before, he was like, none of the major trades are confirming it, so I don't think it's happening. This was before the announcement, and then the announcement happened, and I was just like, literally the day before, you were still holding on to that it's not happening thing. So I don't know. I got my own issues.
Yeah. I mean, we'll just.
I'm
see.
back. I froze.
Yeah, you froze for a second, but it's all good. Look, I want to get into Q&A anyway, so let's open it up to Q&A. Let's see what these good people have to say. But you can finish your point. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's fine. If you can, my video is frozen for some reason, but I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can totally hear you. Let me try this. Pop you out. Pop you in. Oh no, it's still frozen.
Hey, you can put your sexy face on. I'll just talk to the people.
Sounds good. Let me chat. Can we get that going on? Can we fix this? Okay, cool. Let's get into Q&A, folks. Drop those questions on into the chat. I'm very excited to see what you guys are talking about, see what you think about this whole situation. This is an interesting one. Knight1223 says, would Henry be able to do that and The Witcher? You know what's so crazy? He literally addressed this exact question in a Men's Health interview. He literally almost like he knew that Knight 1223 was going to ask this question on the morning stream. And he preemptively answered your question, my friend. What he said was, I can totally do 2 big projects at once. There's still plenty of room for me to do big projects. You remember when he said that, Adam?
Yeah, and I don't think him being part of the Justice League reshoots or whatever is going to take as much time as The Witcher would.
No.
So I think totally he can do 2 projects. I mean, I know it seems uncommon nowadays for big stars to be on multiple projects at once, but that was sort of the norm back, in the 2000s and the 90s and whatnot. So yeah, they can work out the schedules. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, no, they can definitely work it out. And I think honestly, when you're right, like it won't take as much of his time. I think even if it was another movie, he'd be good. Like that's kind of what he was saying. Like in that interview, he's like, no, I can totally juggle these two big projects at once. Jacob's
Yeah,
Quest.
because
Sorry, go
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, sometimes people forget that the actor's part in the filmmaking is actually a very short period of time, usually like a month or two. It's not as long as the project is.
Yep, it's hurry up and wait most of the time too. So will they say that Wonder Woman 84 is in the continuity of the Snyder Cut or what? Hey, look, that's an interesting question. Zack is a producer on Wonder Woman 1984. Zack was actually, a lot of people don't give Zack credit. Zack came up with a lot of the story elements for the first Wonder Woman. He was heavily involved and collaborated with Patty Jenkins a lot on that film. So, I think Zack and Debbie are probably going to continue to be involved with DC stuff, and I think that this is a great little olive branch to them and bringing them back into the fold. We don't know. We don't know exactly how the canon's going to go. Guess what? Neither does Warner Brothers. So, we'll see. Let's see here.
Yeah,
Question from Jason says, what's the realistic chance they move Affleck, Godot, Cavill, and co. permanently to HBO Max and leave Battinson's new universe to theaters? Adam, take that question, my friend. What do you think?
I think that's a big possibility. Look, you can still, I was thinking about this before when you said they were talking about doing the Flashpoint. I mean, they could still do Flashpoint and sort of set up that here's one universe in television land and here's Battinson and his universe in another land. The one throw a wrench in that though, for sure. Cause it's right now Wonder Woman is like their crown jewel in the theater. And I don't know that they is the biggest wrench I think thrown, because Shazam is new. It's not technically connected. The Black Adam stuff's coming. It's not connected. Anything, that's tough. I think first of all, let's get through Battinson, because there are some people out there, and I'm not going to name any names, but some people out there are a little bit skeptical of this Battinson movie coming out.
Yep.
Not going to name any names.
Yeah, we'll see about the wet noodle Batman. Yeah, we'll see how that all goes. Yeah, for sure. Daniel says, "Are you from the Erie area? Because the theater there is actually pretty nice." Daniel, I was raised in Erie for most of my life, and Tinseltown. I watched many movies there. I watched, I think, the whole. All of the prequels in that theater, and I think I watched all of the Matrix sequels in that theater, and all of the Lord of the Rings as well. So yeah, Tinseltown in Erie over there, man. Yeah, that was my temple when I was a young dude. Off topic. How far are you into The Last Airbender? I think I'm just getting into season 2. I've just been a little busy, guys. Sorry, but I'll make it through. I like the show, so I'll make it through the show. Looks like Adam's rebooting. All good, my friend. Let me know when you get back in. I'll take a peek. With the popularity issue they have with Batwoman, I think this is the perfect opportunity to reboot the entire series. No reason after just one really bad season to continue it. Yeah, I haven't really commented, Star Wars Santa, on the Batwoman situation. I just don't know enough about it, Ruby Rose walks away. Who knows, man? Like, did she make the right decision? Is that a slap in the face to the fans? I don't know. I really don't know. I've heard that show did poorly, but it's hard to say, how much of that's real. Like, how much is... I don't know. Some people tell me the show's doing great. It got renewed for a second season. I don't know. But, I will say that the early marketing that I saw for the Batwoman movie or show was horrendous, and it was not pro-woman as much as it was anti-man. That's my opinion, but it is what I felt from that marketing, and I felt like that was really tone deaf in today's climate. So that's all I can really say about the show. I mean, I wish Ruby Rose the best. I like Ruby Rose. I've heard that the actor from Brooklyn Nine-Nine might be coming in and playing the character now. I'm all for it, as long as it's good and people are finding enjoyment from it, then we're all good here as far as I'm concerned. Let's bring back in the man. Are you good, my friend?
All right. Yeah, I think I'm good. I don't know what happened there.
Dude, it's fucking internet and YouTube. It's
Technology.
Yeah,
Gotta love it.
technology. Gotta love this cornerstone to the future of my business that I absolutely hate.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. So after all of this, can we all pretend that Joss Whedon's version of Justice League never happened? I really hope so. I really hope so. That was bad, dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just not, I did not like it. And you could even tell from the trailers, like go back and watch the trailers from before Zach left and from after. I mean, they even look different. I don't like, what was Josh thinking doing this like red tint on everything? I don't know. It was so strange. I just did not like it.
Yeah, it's real bad. And again, he was given sort of an impossible task, and I really do blame the studio more than I blame Joss. But that's just my personal opinion on it. But yeah, that movie is so horrible. There's people out there, like there's this contingent of people that are out there saying like Zack Snyder's Justice League cut's gonna not even be good. And
it's
I'm
gonna
like,
be so different.
It's gonna be so different. Like the thing is, like you're talking about one of the worst fucking comic book movies of all time. It has to be better than the other Justice League. It has to be.
Yeah. It literally cannot be any worse.
It literally cannot. Even if they didn't get that 20 million and you literally had to watch like cue cards come in and like somebody, like if Zach had to film a scene with his fucking like toys and he's like, stuff, still better.
Honestly, if you spend 20 million on just fixing Steppenwolf, I'd be happy.
Yep.
Like that PS2 version of that evil character. I just like, yeah, all around. It's and Zach said in his stream yesterday that only about or one of the interviews, maybe it was the THR interview, I forget, but that basically only a quarter of his stuff was really used. So if that's true, which I don't know why we wouldn't take him at his word, but if that's true, we're literally getting something that we haven't seen before. And it may probably a lot of the same scenes, but like cut differently, shaped differently, added scene. Like I've told you before how like I thought Ray Fisher got the raw deal out of this, and I'm excited to see like his actual arc. I'm excited to see all of that football stuff that just never made it into the film. Like they shot tons of sequences of his backstory and his father and his playing football and like all this stuff, and like I'm very excited to see more Ray Fisher.
Me too, man. Me too. I definitely want to see that. I want to see what that's about. So yeah, no, we're on the same page about that. I saw somebody. Do you ever go to the Dollar Theater before they closed down? Yeah, man, I did. I liked that. I like that theater. Did other towns like have that? They have like the discount theater or stuff like that?
We had one. Yeah. It doesn't exist anymore because the mall that it was in doesn't exist anymore. But we had a mall that's where I saw Titanic for the first time because I refused for the longest time to see it. I was being a bit of a snob back then, and I didn't want to see it, and I waited, and then it got to the Dollar Theater, and I saw it, and I loved it. But yes, we did used to have one, not anymore though.
Yeah, dude, those were fun, man. Those were, when you're a kid, and you ain't got no money. You know what I mean? It's a nice little, yeah, it's a nice thing to go to for sure. I saw somebody say, like, can you answer my last question? If you just throw it back in the chat, a better shot of me kind of getting to it in that way. I just miss things, so sorry. Just drop it in again. Over the top and cheesy in a comic book movie, it's just out of place. Yeah. I mean, like, I think that it can work, and I think Taika's sensibility is perfect for Marvel. It's perfect for Marvel movies. I'm kind of concerned about it for Star Wars, you know what I mean, to be honest with you. But I love it for Marvel. But I don't think Taika doing like a serious DC movie would really work. I'm really interested to see what James Gunn has done with his Suicide Squad. Like that's going to be really interesting to see. How does that sensibility work over there? But yeah, it's definitely look, I think that the thing with Joss was, and that whole cut was, they were like, let's take, like, this is what's crazy. It's like, let's take this incredibly dark version, which we already watered down, by the way. We already watered this down because of the BVS backlash. And let's turn it into Marvel. You know, that is not how you make a good product. You know, like that just ain't it. So it wasn't so much that it was cheesy. It was the fact that you were taking this square peg and then trying to whittle it down to put it into this round hole, you know?
Yep.
Do you think the movie / Snyder Cut Justice League is going to have a brand new score? That's an interesting question. I don't know anything about that. Do you have any opinions, or do you know about that at all?
No, but I would imagine that they are going to bring back. Forgive me if I got it. The name is escaping. Junkie XL. That's it. I gotta imagine. I would not be surprised if they brought Junkie XL back to help with it, because I know that he was working on it, and then when Snyder left, I'm pretty sure that they replaced him. So I would imagine Junkie XL you're going to see come back and do some music for it.
That'd be cool, man. Zach mentioned Green Lantern in the live stream yesterday. Yeah, well, there was apparently, I mean, we talked about, LB and I talked about this, I think, on Tuesday, where there was that scene in the trailer that had the green light in Alfred's eye, and he said you'd show up. You know, I hope you're not too late, and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, like, come on. I would really like a Green Lantern in there if they manage to do that. And then Zach also sort of teased the Black Suit Superman. I think Black Suit Superman 100% is happening. Like, I'm very, very excited to see more of that nerdy goodness coming out. And, you know, it's funny. I watched a little bit of LB's reaction to it yesterday. He was, like, live. And he actually had this really good point, which I think the point is sound. His take on it, I don't agree with, but the point was sound, where he said, you know, this is like years later. This dude can make all sorts of changes to make this thing way better. And LB's opinion on that was like, oh, it's kind of like cheating. Like, it's kind of like cheating, right? I'm like, this ain't a test, bro. Like, this ain't, you know what I mean?
Agree. I watched this stream yesterday too, and I felt the same way. I'm like, man, LB, I love you, but who cares? We're not keeping a scorecard here. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You want it doesn't matter to me. Like, that the idea of cheating doesn't make sense. He's just making a movie. And at the end of the day, that's all we're doing is we're going to sit down and we're going to watch a movie or a show, whatever it ends up being. Like, who cares? I don't care. That is very little of importance to me.
Yeah, I definitely don't care. I like, cheat all you want. You know what I mean? Like, please.
There's a lot of movies that not just comic book movies, but just movies in general that I wish directors could go back and cheat on. You know,
for sure. And here's the thing: they wish they could too.
Right.
As an artist, you are all. I mean, why do you think George Lucas won't stop messing with Star Wars? McClunky, anyone? You know, look, it's never finished.
Right.
It's never finished. You know, you're always thinking of little ways that it can improve. You know, it's so funny. I talk a little. Well, I don't know. Maybe I talk too much about it. But when Dave Filoni came back to speak to the students at Edinburgh, which is the school that he went to, right? He showed us some stuff. And I wish, man, it's like, looking back, it's like crazy. I really wish that I could have been like recording the whole thing, you know. But he had this thing where he said, after he showed us an unfinished scene of an episode, he was like, you know, it's funny, your job as a director is never done. I'm literally just watched that with you guys, and I thought of a better way for Anakin to deliver that line. In front of us, like, literally, like, this is footage that like was pretty much ready to go for final animation, and he watched it in an auditorium with art students and was like, you know, this would be better. You're never done. Like, you're never done. And so, like,
there's a famous quote, not famous quote, but there's a quote from a director, and forgive me because I don't remember who it is, so I'm going to paraphrase it. But basically, like, the thought of it is, when you're making a movie, you're never finished. You just run out of time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and that's the sense that most artists get, is that there's always more you can be doing. The more you rewatch it, the more you look at it, the more tweaks you would always make. But it's just time that's not on your side.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, unless you're like George Lucas, that you have the time and money to do it 20 years later, you know, you don't get that say.
I think Disney should let him go in every 5 to 10 years and make more changes. I just think you should. Like, dude, at this point, it's a part of
To
the
all the
DNA,
movies?
man. To
To
all
all
of
of them?
Well,
All 9.
I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms. Because you know what's coming. Release the JJ cut of episode
No.
9. Release the
No.
George
no,
Lucas
no,
cut of Ryan Johnson's
No.
movie. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's coming. And there do need to be boundaries, and there need to be like, hey, look, this is a special case. Like, this is unique.
Right.
You know? Yeah, all that stuff's coming. If somebody could let me know in the chat, is Trinite live, and is he going to argue about everything that Adam and I said today on his stream? I can't wait to hear that. So
see, the Trinity hates television.
just in
hates
general,
He doesn't watch TV. Yeah, he doesn't watch TV. He hates the format of television. He can't get over the fact that like you can't get a completed story in one sitting. So while we are saying, I think we would prefer it broken up into like a 6-part miniseries. He would rather sit down for 4 hours, and I'm fine. I would do that. I would pull an Irishman and just watch it all.
yeah.
But he doesn't really like TV.
Interesting. Yeah, that we'll have to get on his stream sometime and argue with him about that.
Yeah,
But if somebody could drop the link to Trinity's stream, if it is up, that would be great. But we'll field a couple more questions real quick. Let's see. What are the people's saying?
Release the butthole cut. That's the next. You call that trending?
It's a good hashtag. I must admit, it's a pretty decent little hashtag there. Let's see here. Release the butthole cut of cats. That's hilarious. Now that HBO has Justice League, does this mean we'll get a lot more violence, language, etc. that may have been cut from the cinematic version? I would love for a darker R-rated Justice League. Here's the thing, Russell, possibly. I only want that if that's what Zack wants to do. I don't want there to be this sort of attitude or this thing where it's like, okay, now we can make it more gratuitous or do this, that, and the other thing. But if that's what Zack had envisioned, and if he had compelling story reasons as to why, then do it. You know, I don't even necessarily agree with all the decisions this dude makes, but talking to him. Yeah, when I was talking to him yesterday on his stream, when I was watching his stream yesterday, I was like really interested in all of the different things that he thought. And you know, one of the things that was really interesting, I don't know if you caught this, Adam, but there was a question that Cavill had for Zack about Russell Crowe's Jor-El AI. Did you catch that question that he asked?
I remember the question. You might have to refresh my memory, though.
So he asked him, how complete is that AI? Is that AI capable of
love? Of love. Right. Yeah.
Now, what was so interesting about that question is it's meta-contextual because the thing is, Cavill pretty much disagrees with Zack's take on Superman. And the reason we know this is because, apparently Cavill was he's a big fan of the Marvel movies, and he's a big fan of Superman being the Boy Scout, being more comic book accurate, being more hopeful, being more bright, all of these different things. And so Cavill was a fan of Joss wanting to do that. And Cavill was the person that really lobbied for the Boy Scout to return in Justice League, to make it way more Boy Scout-like. And what I felt was interesting about that question was it sort of felt not necessarily underhanded, but it felt like a question from Zack where he was like trying to get the love. Like, where's the love? Like, the question essentially was like, where's the love in that? And I loved Zack's answer. Zack said, I don't think that AI is capable of love, but I think it is in and of itself an act of love from the father. So it's like a love letter. It is not a father replacement. And I loved that answer because I can see where both of those guys and both the philosophies come from. Frankly speaking, I'm more of a fan of the Boy Scout. I'm more of the fan of the actual idealistic Superman. That's what I want to see. But I'm also a fan of Zack's take on that character and the sort of postmodern version of Superman that he's interested in working with. And I'm interested to see if there's some kind of a collaboration there between him and Cavill to like take that and get to the Boy Scout. You know what I mean? Like, do we get
Yeah.
to that point, or is it always going to be sort of like that version, like the realistic version, the version that Zach can wrap his head around? Is that what we're going to get, right? So I don't know if you wanted to speak to that at all.
Yeah, I think that by the end of this new Justice League, I think we're going to get that. I think, and maybe even closer to the second act than anything, because I mean, you got to remember, the story of Justice League is still going to be Superman coming back from the dead. It's still probably going to be him, you know, in the black suit and kind of have to get him back from that. So I think, yes, I think by the time you get to the end of Justice League, you're going to get more of that Boy Scout. And look, I'm sure if we had more Boy Scout in Batman versus Superman, Cavill would have been a little happier. I think he was just a little frustrated that it now will take 2.5 movies to get to where he kind of thought it was going to be. Because after rewatching Man of Steel, I gotta say though, he's not like as anti-Boy Scout as some people kind of make it out to be, and he does a lot of things in there to like save people. Now you could say maybe the character took a step back and was a little more grumpy in Batman vs Superman. I'm not going to deny that, but I would say rewatching Man of Steel, he was getting closer to that all around Boy Scout. But I do agree with you, in the sense that I like Zack Snyder's take. I've never necessarily been in love with the 100% Boy Scout version of Superman. To me, Superman was never really one of my favorites growing up because I thought he was too invincible, and that always seemed kind of little too easy and too boring for me. So I like the Superman who struggles. So you know, but a good mix would be good, because Batman is the grumpy one, so we don't need two grumpy ones. We'll take a grumpy one and a good. So.
No, yeah, I've always loved. I think the thing is for me with Superman, and this is. It's twofold on why I love Superman so much, you know, and a lot of people are like, Superman's so lame. I think, honestly, the reason I like Superman is because he is actually super challenging to write. If you want to write a very good, compelling Superman story, you have to find very interesting ways to make Clark struggle. And so that in and of itself is just great because it's like a puzzle box. And I think some writers do their best work when they're trying to figure that out. And how do we, how do we do this? How do you deconstruct and what do you do with this kind of a character while still keeping him to be iconic and all of that? And I've always felt like the thing that's really cool about Supes is allowing the rest of our like failing shortcomings and issues and problems as humanity to quite literally bounce off of him and to watch how these things impact the character of Clark and also the character of Superman. Superman can't be everywhere at once. You know what I mean? He has the power to stop literally anything, almost any bad thing that would befall a human being. He has the ability to stop it, but he doesn't have the capacity to stop it all at once, right? And so there are things, like some of the most interesting things with that character and what you can do with that is, how does he decide? How does he decide? How does he decide who to help? How does he decide when to be involved and when not to be involved? You know what I mean? Like these are the ways that you make Superman interesting. Yeah, he is a god. You know what I mean? So, you know, you put yourself in that situation. Well, what would be the struggle? The struggle would be like, shit, even though I am a god, even though I am the most powerful being, I don't necessarily have the mental capacity to even understand what is the optimal way to do this. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff is fascinating to me. And I always love when they dig into that side of Supes.
Yeah, and that's why I like the Injustice run as well, because he was still super all powerful, but man, was he twisted, and they really took a different turn on it, and I agree. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's super fun. Is Trinité live?
I believe so.
Let's get that link. I'll try to get to it. When I'm streaming and have everything going, like the computer is just like, no. Anything you want to do, will be slow AF. So if anybody can drop that link in there, that would be awesome, just to let the people know and send them on over to Trinity's stream so we can watch him be wrong about everything. Josh, did you watch the Justice League Dark Apocalypse War? I love that movie. I love that Justice League Dark movie. It is so damn good. So yeah, I saw it and I really like it. When Clark is stuck in situations where revealing his super identity is more dangerous than not. Yep. Those are really good moments. Those are really good moments. Okay, let's, Russell has put in the link. I'm going to drop the link myself here if things would ever work. Okay, cool. Boom. There you go. Get on over there. Adam, thanks again for being here. Anything you want to plug, my friend?
Yeah, just check out our morning show. We do it literally right before Josh and the Den of Nerds. We do it at 9 a.m. and we finish up before Josh starts. So you'll never miss a second of the Den of Nerds. Do it right at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk an hour about more general movie news. Josh corners the market on the nerdy stuff, but our show does a little more general movie news. So if you want to wake up early for a little bit and get a little pregame on before Den of Nerds, come check us out.
Yeah, man, it is quite an awesome blockbuster block of content for you, starting at 9 a.m. and then going all the way till Trinity's done with his stream. I think it's really cool. Well, thanks again for being here, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, buddy.
And for all of you guys, as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I will see you in the next